Dear Jamie, speak your mind. Here we leave no secrets behind. Lay it bare, you're not alone. In this circle, you're at home. So write it down or say it loud. There's no shame in truth unbound. Laugh or cry, just let it fly. We'll catch your tears, we'll lift you So speak your truth, don't be shy. We're all the same beneath the sky. Dear Jamie listens, no need to hide. Where stories live and hearts confide. Dear Jamie, let it show. You're among friends, you're home, you know.
Well, hey, y'all. Welcome to Scandalous Saturday on the Dear Jamie podcast. I am so excited. It's been 2 weeks since we got to hang out. And well, I have a lot, so much, like you wouldn't believe what we have to talk about tonight. And first, this is the one night a week where we throw caution to the wind, open the vault, read stories people probably should have taken to the grave. They are confessions, secrets, and unbelievable coincidences, family drama, relationship disasters, and moments that make us all say, no freaking way. Now, some of these stories are shocking, some hilarious, some heartbreaking, and somewhere in between. Remember one thing: we're here to discuss, not destroy, and we listen and we don't judge, okay? So let's be kind, keep it respectful, keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times because things are about to get interesting. Now let's get scandalous. One last thing. These are for entertainment purposes only. This is not legal advice or medical advice or anything else. This is for funsies. Let's go. Okay. Story number 1. Dear Jamie, I have carried a secret for over 20 years, and to this day, I'm not sure if I'm a terrible person or just an idiot. When I was in my early 20s, I was dating I picked up the most scandalous one of them all. I was dating a woman who had an identical twin sister. The two of them looked so much alike that even their own families sometimes had to do a double take. One night, we all went out together. There was drinking involved, and by the end of the night, we ended up back at their place. My girlfriend and I slept on an L-shaped sectional couch. She was laying beside me when I fell asleep. Sometime during the night, I got up and went to the bathroom. I am confident I was not sober even at this moment. When I came back, someone was still asleep in the same spot where I believed my girlfriend had been. I laid back down. A few minutes later, things became less innocent. The woman beside me woke up. One thing led to another. It wasn't until afterwards that I realized I wasn't next to my girlfriend at all. I was next to her twin sister. Meanwhile, my actual girlfriend was asleep on the other side of the sectional the entire time. To make matters worse, the twin sister never acted shocked. She never stopped me. She never said a word. She simply went along with it as if she knew exactly what was happening. The next morning, nobody mentioned it. Not her, not me, and definitely not my girlfriend. The twin sister and I have never spoken about it since. Here's the problem. That girlfriend eventually became my wife. We've been married for more than 15 years. And as far as I know, she has absolutely no idea this ever happened. I've spent decades wondering if her sister ever told her. I've wondered whether she knew all along and chose to ignore it. I've also wondered whether I was genuinely confused or whether I knew more than I've allowed myself to admit. Now that we're older, I find myself actually feeling guilty. Do I take the secret to my grave, or do I tell my wife the truth and risk everything? Or do you think that she already knows anyway? Okay. I get like the lay down on the other side of the couch and like all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, that's not like, but at some point in time, they both knew. And I would suspect that twin sisters, particularly, don't they like tell each other everything? Don't like, and if they haven't, why now? Why would you all of a sudden be like, hey, wife, I gotta tell you something horrible that I did that's probably gonna destroy you and make you double guess and second guess everything that I've ever said to you and everything that I've ever done and anything that you've ever questioned. I'm now going to open the gates and say, hey, question everything because I did this one thing and I kept a secret from you for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. I think I would take that to the grave. I don't think there's anything like what comes out of that other than relieving your own guilt. And like, how self-serving is that? As self-serving as it was to not stop whatever happened at that point in time. And maybe it was just like, just started dating, so it wasn't that serious, but like, why would we let all of the skeletons out right now? Am I wrong? I just think that that's something that like you confessed. I hope that this allowed you to like get that off of your chest, but like I feel like his curiosity is more to know if his wife knows than to like come clean. Because no, I don't think so. And if the twin sister didn't tell, like, don't you think that she's equally responsible? And if you never spoke about it again to the twin sister, let that lie. You weren't married at the time. Okay. You weren't married to your wife at the time. You were dating, and who knows how serious that was. And I just can't imagine that, like, I get like a confusion point, but I can't imagine that I don't know. I just think that if the sister was innocent at all, she would have been like, hey, wrong chick over here, move along. But she wasn't. She let it happen too. Yeah. I just don't think that you should say like anything at all. In fact, like, this should actually be burnt, and I hope that you delete it from your sent box too, because oh my god, that's a lot. And then what if the wife knows but never said a word? And why would she not? Like, maybe the relationship wasn't that serious in the beginning anyway, so she didn't say anything either. Maria says, how far away was that sectional on the couch? They said they were drinking. Who knows? But wow. Now that was scandalous. Not gonna lie. I do think though, some secrets, it is self-serving to reveal, and it can be detrimental and absolutely crushing to everything that you've ever known and everything that the person you're confessing to. And if your intention is to get it off your chest and relieve yourself, like, you have to at some point in time, like, put yourself in another person's shoes and think about what's going to happen if they learn this, and how would I ever earn their trust back? And is there truly harm in not telling them today, or is there more harm in this? And maybe I'm wrong, but in my own mind, like, that's a long time ago. That was very early on in your relationship. It's not like it just happened this week or anytime in your marriage. It happened when you were first dating. I think that I would let that go. If you didn't confess about it then, ain't no time now is not the time. Now is not the time. Now, this next one, this is a little bit different for a scandalous Saturday. Dear Jamie, my grandmother recently passed away, and I have just been notified that I have an inheritance coming of $100,000. In her will, she specifically wrote that the money was intended for me because she wanted to make sure I would always be financially secure. The problem is my husband has very different ideas. Within days of learning about this inheritance, he's talking about paying off his truck, remodeling our kitchen, helping his brother with debt, and taking a family vacation. When I told him I wanted to invest most of the money and use it to strengthen my retirement savings, he became very angry. He says married couples shouldn't have separate money and that keeping it for myself is selfish. I understand his perspective, but I also can't stop hearing my grandmother's voice reminding me why she left it to me in the first place. Am I honoring her wishes or am I being selfish? That's a tough one because I don't know the circumstances of their marriage. I don't know the circumstances of relationship. I don't know any of it. But if your grandmother left it to you, I think that that belongs to you. Now, should you choose to do something for the betterment of your family with it, then you should, but it can't be your husband's decision about that. And vice versa, though, if your husband received an inheritance, how would you take that? And what would you feel like? Like, I don't think it's selfish to honor her wishes and also to invest. I don't think any of that. But if your family is currently struggling, meaning that maybe you're behind on your mortgage. It doesn't sound like that at all. He wants to remodel and pay off his truck and all those things. But like, I still think that if you're in a marriage and you are, contributors to said financial situation, that you still have to play your part. It doesn't mean that you can let things fall apart while you're over here doing this. But if you're investing the money, that's still an investment in both of you. But I certainly don't think that you should, that it's right to help the brother with the debt. Like, that's like, no, that's not where it is. And, it's hard without knowing all the circumstances, right? And it's even more challenging to not know like all the history behind that. But I do feel like that if your grandmother left it to you, then it's yours. And if his mother or grandfather or whoever left something to him, then it can be his. But you shouldn't give it away. And you certainly shouldn't like blow it, because your grandmother, God, I can't imagine how long that she worked to be able to save that kind of money or to have that kind of money to be able to pass along. And if it's, a nest egg and a protection space, then by all means. And I guess I probably also come from the mindset of it's okay to have separate accounts. It's not okay to have like full-blown stashing money secrets, things like that, like, and to let circumstances in your life struggle or get behind. But I also think that if it was a gift to you, then it was a gift to you, and that's okay. But I don't think that letting anyone else decide where that money goes is right either. I think that that has to be something that you're interested in doing, and go from there. I wish I had more context, and I always wish that I could ask the person these questions of like, well, are you behind on bills? Is everything caught up? I mean, your husband wants to remodel the kitchen and help his brother and then go on vacation with it versus, making something meaningful out of it. But at the same time, like, I don't think that it's selfish at all. All right. Moving on. I'm going to look at these and make sure I have Okay. Next up, Dear Jamie, I am 50 years old, and there's a question I've been carrying around for nearly 4 decades. The strange thing is I've never asked it, but when I was 13 years old, my father died after a long illness. I remember him being sick and going back and forth to the hospital, and I absolutely remember the funeral. But from there, everything becomes pretty blurry. I am the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger brother. I was 13, my older brother was 16, and my younger brother was only 7. The next clear memory I have after the funeral was being at my grandmother's house. Not for a weekend and not even for a summer. Living there, sleeping there. We went to school from there. My grandmother had just lost her son and somehow became the one raising his children. What I don't remember, though, is how it happened. I don't remember anyone ever explaining it to me. I don't remember saying goodbye to my mom. I don't even remember having clothes there. I just remember being there. Here's the weird part. I don't remember my mother at all during the years that I lived at my grandmother's house. My older brother was also not there, but my younger brother was with me. My memories from that time feel like pages ripped from a book. Then one day, what feels like years later, my mother reappeared. She met a man. He had children of his own, and suddenly everyone was moving into one house to become a blended family. Life continued. No explanations, no conversations, and no questions at all, at least not out loud. Now, looking back, I believe I was at my grandmother's house for about 4 years. But here's the part that keeps bothering me. Was it really 4 years? Or does it feel like 4 years because I was a grieving child? I never sat down with my mom and asked, not once, and part of me is afraid she'll tell me my memory is wrong. Part of me is even more afraid that she'll tell me my memory's right. And the part that's afraid of that is what it might reveal about her. Maybe she was overwhelmed with grief. Maybe she was struggling more than I ever know. And maybe there's details that I certainly don't want to hear. But I just find myself wondering how I can understand her as a person and how I can truly tell people about my life when there's so much missing. So if I've spent 40 years avoiding a question, is it because I don't want the answer or because I already know it? I think grief is a really funny thing. And it could have been 4 years, it could have been much more, and it could have been much less. And I think grief is funny for everyone. For a mother to seemingly disappear during that time, maybe she had to work. And maybe you didn't really live there. Maybe you just spent a lot of time there because your mom became the sole provider of finances, everything. But to only remember living there after, like, going there after the funeral, and then the next thing is at your grandma's, and then years later you're moving into a new house and you don't remember like clothes and things like that. That's a lot of blocked time. And trauma has this way of doing those things that's takes a lot of time and unpacking and therapy to recover from. 13 is a pivotal time in any person's life. Like, you're trying to figure out who you are, and I can't imagine that, like, during those times your time is spent going to see a sick parent in a hospital. And to think about where your mom went, maybe she needed help during those times. What if she was not well and was seeking care? I mean, it seems like a really long time ago, and I don't know, but I guess this is again where I wish that I could ask this person about, what do you remember? What do you, and if you were to ask your mom, like, has there ever been any hint whatsoever of what she did during those times? And is your mom someone that you can sit down and talk about that, where you don't just dive into the question, like, where were you when I was 13 and all the way until I graduated high school? Because those, like, that's basically saying, like, most of that time that she was gone. And I can't imagine going through that with just losing your dad and now having no idea where your mom was. Like, that had to be so hard. And I also imagine that the brain absolutely automatically buried some of those things because that's trauma, and that's exactly what it does. But I wonder if your older brother knows. It seems like 16 probably had a car. Maybe he was there too, but maybe he was home late because he worked after school or those types of things. But I don't know. I have a relationship with my mom where I think that I could ask and be like, can we at some point and preface it, right? Like, is there a point in time where we could sit down and talk about a time in my life that I just can't seem to put together? And see the reaction from that. Because if your curiosity is around that, I imagine maybe your younger brother is too, and maybe your older brother has information. Also, I maybe it's not possible, but maybe ask that grandma as well if the grandma is still around. I just think like there's ways to get your answers, and you, I believe, have every right to ask those questions and to be able to dig deeper into that part, because I imagine there's a piece of you that is still grieving, and part of that is probably part of your healing. All right, you ready for this next one? I'm torn between which one to tell you, because one of them is blaming me. One of them is absolutely blaming me for what's been going on. You ready? Because, wow. Dear Jamie, I have a confession, and this may be entirely your fault. A few months ago, I was listening to one of you and Lester's lives where you were reading old Craigslist misconnections. I found myself completely fascinated. There was something romantic about it. Two strangers crossing paths, one person wondering what could have been, the possibility that fate might somehow bring them back together. And then I had an idea. Okay, I had a terrible idea. I decided to post one myself. The problem was there never had actually been a misconnection. I made it up. All of them. I wrote about seeing a man in a grocery store. I described what he was wearing, what aisle we were in, and even invented a brief moment where our eyes met while reaching for the same box of cereal. None of it happened. I've never seen this man. I've never even been to that grocery store. I posted it just to see what would happen. And a few days later, someone responded. He thought it was him. I laughed so hard I almost deleted the account right then. Instead, though, I went against everything inside me and I replied. And then he replied again. Before I knew it, we were having actual conversations. Eventually, I admitted I wasn't sure it was him. He admitted he wasn't sure it was him either, but neither of us cared. For 2 weeks, we talked every day. When that fizzled out, I might have accidentally posted another missed connection. And another. And another. At this point, I have created fictional encounters at airports, bookstores, coffee shops, county fairs, and one very creative story involving a man buying fertilizer at a farm store. I've met dozens of men. A couple have become dates. One became a relationship that has been ongoing. And the entire thing was built on a chance encounter that actually has never happened. The worst part, I don't even feel guilty anymore. Sometimes I think people aren't responding because they recognize the story. I think they're responding because they're lonely. Maybe they want to believe someone noticed them. Maybe they want to believe that they left an impression on somebody. Or maybe they're just as crazy as I am. Oh, am I a terrible person for creating fake misconnections to meet real people? First of all, I don't know how I get blamed for this. Seriously, how? How is this Jamie Walker and Lester Morrow's fault? All we did, in fact, it wasn't even me. It was Lester that brought this up. So can we start off with backing this party bus up and blaming Lester? Second, that's pretty creative, actually. And I imagine entertaining. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. Like, the response, it's almost like an AOL chat room back in the day, except for it's like, was that you on aisle 7 that reached for the box of Cheerios at the same time as me? And then, what are the odds that some dude's like, it was me. I did reach for the box of Cheerios, and now I'm sitting here looking in misconnections on Craigslist responding to it? Come on. Come on. Like, it does sound like the hardware store lady, except for this is, I'm sorry, way more intentional. This is like, because Craigslist, it's not like you have like profile pictures like dating apps or anything like that. Like, this is like nothingness. And think about the possibilities of it. I guess if you're just messaging back and forth and it's because Craigslist is email, right? Isn't that like how you communicate? It's like email. I don't know. I have so many questions. And now I want to go to misconnections and be like, and like the curiosity is killing me because those misconnections are in like their cities or like area specific. So is she doing them in her area? Is she doing them in just random areas? Because you can read about what's going on in like Portland and what's going on in St. Louis, what's going on in Houston, and like they're everywhere. And is it really that different than like the old personal ads in the newspaper that would be like single white female seeking single white male between ages of 35 and 45? And like, they were like, there was a section. I remember reading the section in the Belleville News Democrat. I remember laughing about it because you could tell they only had a certain amount of characters and lines to be able to fit that in there. And then on the flip side, Lester and I on lives have scrolled the misconnections for funsies. Did we like create a monster on both sides of that fence of like, what if it was one of y'all that responded to that? Are you second guessing it now? Like who else has gone on misconnections for fun just to read them, and who took it a little too far to like reply? I have so many questions. Yeah. We're going to have to do a Scandalous Saturday in the misconnection space just for fun, just to go back to read, and I'll have to figure out how to set up 2 screens to be able to do so. But wow. Just wow. Just wow. Okay. There was an old dating show named Love Connection. I also recall video, like the video dating where they would like, you would send in a VHS tape. I was too young for that. But one time I was helping a friend clean out the garage and we found his mom's videotapes. Wow. Just wow. Just wow. Okay. Final one of tonight's Dear Jamie. Dear Jamie, I have a confession that I've never told a living soul because I know how absolutely insane it sounds. Several years ago, I discovered that if you sign up for a Google Voice number, you often inherit a phone number that previously belonged to someone else. At first, it was harmless entertainment. Someone would text looking for Mike or Ashley or Brandon, and instead of replying wrong number, I'd answer and talk to them. Usually it lasted a few minute messages before I got bored and admit the truth. It got really fun with spammers though. But over the years, it has kind of become a weird hobby. Sometimes I'd be a woman. Sometimes I'd be a man. Sometimes I'd be a college student. Sometimes I'd be a retired grandmother. Nothing malicious, just random conversations with strangers who accidentally texted me. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. A woman texted me looking for a man named Ryan. Instead of correcting her, I answered. At first, I thought it would be another 5-minute exchange, but we kept talking. Then we talked the next day and the next. 3 weeks later, we've exchanged hundreds of messages. I know her favorite color. I know about her difficult relationship with her mother. I know that she cries when she gets overwhelmed, and I know what she wanted to be when she grew up. And somehow she feels like she knows me, except she doesn't, because I'm not Ryan. I'm not even a man. I'm a 42-year-old woman sitting in my pajamas every night pretending to be someone I've completely invented. The worst part, I don't think she's flirting with me exactly, but she's definitely emotionally attached to this version of Ryan. Yesterday, she asked if we could FaceTime. I panicked and told her my camera was broken. Today, she asked again, and now I'm sitting here wondering how I've managed to accidentally catfish someone for 3 weeks. Part of me wants to disappear and block the number. Part of me wants to tell her the truth. And there's a huge part of me that's embarrassed to admit that I'll actually miss talking to her. How do I explain that the man she's been pouring her heart out to has never even existed? I feel sad for the girl, but I also feel sad for this woman who is lonely. Lonely enough to seek entertainment in acting to be someone else and now has involved someone's heart. The thing is like we live in an era of ghosting. So it wouldn't be like out of the like it's not anything that anyone hasn't heard of to just ghost somebody. But if this girl on the other end is like emotionally attached to a fake character, I think you have to confess. I think you have to confess of like, "Hey, I did this thing. It's gone too far and I'm so sorry." Because if not, I mean, you're still this girl on the other end is still going to be weirded out probably and crushed. But also, at least she has some closure and doesn't sit there blaming herself for something because I think ghosting is one of the most disrespectful things in the world. If you can't man up or woman up to be able to say why you're no longer interested in anything. And I mean that from everything from personal relationships to friendships to business, because it is a culture right now, even in the business world, to just ghost. You can be in depth negotiations, all kinds of things, and then never hear from someone again, like it didn't happen and you didn't hold, like all of your time was worth naught. And it feels like the dirtiest weird, like you are so questioning everything that happened and replaying everything that happened, and it leaves you like with all kinds of emotion and doubt and everything else. And from a relationship standpoint, I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine being ghosted like that. I guess that I was very blessed to never have gone through any online dating or anything like that. And of course, I've been in a relationship for a long time now that I've never had to go through that. But being ghosted is, I think, is cowardly and is a easy way out for the person who can just turn that off and not give any explanation. And I think it's cold and I think it's heartless. And I think that if you've invested time in someone at all, that you owe them an explanation as to why it's no longer suiting you. And that's also self-serving in a way of being able to put closure on it for yourself just as much. And I would never be good at ghosting. First of all, I suck at quitting anything. But second of all, like to just flip a switch and be like, nah, moving on. I don't know how to do that. Because if someone has put that time into me and I've allowed that time be invested into me, then I have given it back just as much. And that would certainly create some significant trust issues in the long run. So catfishing to me is like dirty and ugly. And I think that it would be the most integritous if you owned up to it and said, hey, this started out pretty harmless. And it started out with me responding to people who accidentally got a phone number or spammers. I mean, I've watched Lester literally answer the phone and tell someone what's wrong with the spam. But for someone to have put your heart into you, I do think that it would be extremely beneficial to just own up to that and say why. Give that person peace, closure, and don't leave them lingering. And then maybe consider a different, a different hobby. Because that one feels a little beyond scandalous, actually. And getting people's emotions and things involved, I think, is sort of pushing it beyond belief. Anyway, that, friends, that concludes our scandalous Saturday tonight. And we have had a full spectrum of things that really blow my mind, to be quite honest. From misconnections that I got blamed for, to wanting to confront your mother about missing time, to a twin sister that is holding on probably to a secret. I love that you all put trust in me to be able to share your stories and to talk about them. And I hope that I hope that some of the advice was good. But again, this is just for entertainment purposes, and I am so incredibly grateful that you take the time to come here and share those with us while we talk through all of those circumstances. I love y'all, and I promise that I will catch you on the very next Saturday night. We're going to finish this the same way that we started it. Let's back it up. Right.
Dear Jamie.